Hello everyone, it's Teferi07. Today I'm playing Jeskai Ascendancy brew. So I brewed this list like 2-3 months ago. I already have one video on my channel, you can check that one out. And this is the slightly updated list, and I've been doing incredibly well with this list back then and right now again. Okay, so I pointed out this list on Twitter, my Twitter profile, as one of the best performing lists for me that I played in last 2 months probably, and I've been very impressed with the power of this deck. Okay, so this deck has a very good mid-range plan. It plays Urza Saga, it plays Ragavan, Inti, Emry. All of these cards provide a value on their own. You got to get rid of them immediately as they hit the field. Immediately next turn, Emry can recast Mishra bubbles from the graveyard, the Cauldron, even the One Ring, and it's a very powerful threat. Same goes for Inti and Ragavan. On top of that, Rona on the field Rona and Inti on the field are absolutely crazy. In a lot of situations, this setup is like almost unbeatable, and there will be situations when you just go off with Rona and Inti in the field just from nowhere. The possibilities when you have those two on the fields are really endless. A lot can happen, and it's very fun to try to combo off just from nothing, basically just with Rona on the field and Inti in hand. Okay, so Jeskai Ascendancy. Why this card? Okay, this card may seem like a meme card or a bad card to a lot of people, but so most of you people are familiar with Grinding Breach deck that is also a Jeskai deck, very similar to this one. Also plays Mox Amber, Mishra Bauble, Emry, Rona, Ragavan, Teferi, The Ring, a lot of similar cards, Urza Saga also of course. But we have Breach in that build, Underworld Breach, plus Grinding Station. Grinding Station is basically useless card for that deck, that you have to play like 3 of that card, and it does absolutely nothing except participating in the combo kill, of course. So here, instead of that, we have Jeskai Ascendancy. So instead of the 6-card package, 7-card package that involves 4 Breach and 3 Grinding Station, also when you're playing against Graveyard Hate, Breach also can be a dead card, plus Grinding Station. That accounts to a lot of dead cards post board when you're facing a lot of Graveyard Hate. But Jeskai Ascendancy goes over that, and it provides value even without affecting. It doesn't care about your opponent affecting your graveyard or whatever. It's not as powerful as Breach is, but it is better in the early stages of the game. So basically you can win on turn 2 with this deck. So to win on turn 2 you need turn 1 Bauble plus Mox Amber and play your Emry for 1 mana. So then you untap, play your second land, play your Jeskai Ascendancy and go infinite with Emry. Just recast Bauble or recast Mox Amber from your graveyard if you have 2 Mox Ambers in hand. So turn 2 kill is possible, and I have done it in the past a couple of times, but turn 3 kill is realistical actually with this deck, and with mana ramp from Ragavan, Mox Ambers and Rona plus Inti helping you to go through a lot of cards in a turn. I have done quite a lot of turn 3 kills, and we will see some of them in the video today. Okay, so that is it. That is the combo. These are all Saga tutor targets. One of Agatha Soul Cauldron as let's say a 5th copy of Emry. Emry is a combo piece in this build, but it also provides a value. So you are relying on 2 game plans with this deck. You can sometimes win on combo and sometimes just win with the Saga, fair midrange plane using Inti. Also, Jeskai Ascendancy can work decently on its own, even if you don't have a combo setup with Emry. So every spell you play pumps your team for +1/+1, also untaps them. So you can do quite a bit of damage if you have like 1, 2, 3 creatures on the field. And okay, that's it. So Inti is very important in this build. And Inti's card you kind of can't really fit into the Grinding Breach deck. That is very similar to this, but you can't really fit it there because you're already required to play too many of the combo pieces. And Inti is very good in this deck, partially because of Rona, but also it works great with Jeskai Ascendancy. So this card says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you draw a card, but then you discard a card. So if you have Inti on the field, you get to exile the card every time you cast a non-creature spell. This is like pretty sick and can actually just win games on its own, like Ascendancy plus Inti. So I think this is a big upside to this list in comparison to Grinding Breach. Most people are comparing this deck to Grinding Breach, and they have right to do so because it is very similar. And Jeskai Ascendancy only has two purposes in this deck. One is participating in combo kill, and second one is doing synergy stuff with Inti. Okay, so that is it. Ascendancy is very good with Inti, and I think having Inti in this deck together with Rona and Ascendancy, which is synergistic with it, I think that is one big plus from this deck in comparison to Grinding Breach, and one big reason why you should try this instead of the Grinding Breach, because Inti is a very powerful 2-drop and it's being played more and more. Potentially it could be one of the most played 2-drops in the future, depending on how the meta will develop. So that is it on the sideboard. Obviously you can do some land hate, but I chose to go like 4 artifact enchantment hate, 2 Flame of Feiners, Verenters. So Rona is wizard, Emry is wizard, so a Flame of Feiner is very good in this deck. 4 Spell Pierces, partially to fight Cascade decks, but it's also good against other Wandering decks and other non-creature based decks. A lot of Tutor Urza Saga targets, and the Giganta of course, and the 2 explosives. So that's it. We are now going to go through the league and see how the matches went. Okay, so in the match 1, playing second, this was actually the only league I played with this deck. I didn't have much time to play more, but I really would like to do so. It has been really fun, and I'm just when I get time to play more, I will immediately go for it. Okay, so I was playing against Merfolks. They were playing first. 1 Lord, 2nd Lord, another Tide Shaper. Tide Shaper is already 4/4 here. Inti was very good here. Opponent didn't trade with Inti attacking, so I got the land and I had the Mox Amber there to try to cast the ring. Opponent had to sacrifice one of their creatures to do so, and they had a lot of pressure. So despite me having another removal and Emry here, I was still in a pretty bad situation. And yeah, opponent attacking for lethal, so I don't have a choice here except to jump the Mutavolt, and that meant that I don't have a way out. So that was game over. Let's check out game 2. Okay, so this list got a 5-0, I think, during December by another player that was initially helping me develop the list. Okay, so in the game 2, let's see the sideboarding plan. I wanted some removals, and I trimmed on Inti, Ragavan a bit, getting Flame of Feiners in. Flame of Feiner, I think it's pretty good sideboard for this matchup. I brought the explosives in. That is like not super important, but I think explosives could be better than some other options. Okay, that's it. So Opponent kills Rona. Rona is very good against non-interactive decks that don't have much removal. They can't kill it, and you end up doing the Rona ability a bunch of times. And here my opponent was kind of mana screwed in game 2, so I win and my opponent, despite not having anything like really powerful in my hand, and in match 3 I had to mulligan to 5 cards, but I had Ragavan start and 2 removals, so that is pretty keepable, pretty decent 5 card hand. I got a second land I needed, and opponent kills my Ragavan, doesn't play a creature. I think this is like a better option for me than if opponent had more creatures. I prefer them having a Chalice plus Dismember, since they're playing first. Okay, so I play Inti there, and I had a lot of removal in my hand. I was happy with it, so I attack with Inti first, decide not to use Inti ability. Opponent plays a Lord of Atlantis. They're now on 0 cards in their hand. I killed the Hex Catcher before combat damage. I gave them a choice, but they decide to trade. And then I play the Urza Saga. Both players are on 0 cards. So that is a pretty good deal for me, but unfortunately, opponent, yeah, I was just furious. Opponent top decked the Tidebinder here, but yeah, so pretty bad luck for me not being able to use the Saga in situation where it would just immediately win me the game. Not able to get the constructs, but at least I got to use, find a card with it. And I put Giganta to hand and pass the turn, draw the card of the Mishra Bauble. And okay, so now opponent finds the Svilon. Svilon is pretty good. Luckily, I have another removal there. So now looking for that 5th land to play the Giganta. And yeah, instead I find the One Ring. One Ring, obviously great top deck in a situation like this, but unfortunately for me, opponent has a Hex Catcher to counter it. Okay, so opponent now has a Tide Shaper. This means I can go for Engineered Explosives on 1. Play the Emry. Next turn I can crack the explosives, kill the Tide Shaper and Ether Vial, but also replay the explosives from the graveyard, and that is like very hard to beat for my opponent. And I also top deck another ring, a great draw at the moment, so at this point it's very hard for my opponent to do much. I have the ring drawing me a bunch of cards. Opponent finds the Harbinger to bounce the Emry, but that is totally fine. Next I have protection. Next turn I'm drawing 3 cards. I have explosives to kill their Tide Shaper, and while also finding Ascendancy is great. So this means next turn I can go try to go for the kill with Emry. But I also have Emry in the blocks if I really need it. And yes, so Mishra Bauble in the graveyard, Ascendancy in hand. This means I can pump my Emry to infinite, go through the entire deck to find Inti with Jeskai Ascendancy ability. Then Inti gives my Emry trample for lethal, and that is the match. Okay, so let's check out the match 2. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see cards better. Okay, so a one lander, but I have Bauble and Ember, so it seems pretty good. Finding Flame of Fener from the top, opponent suspended footfalls on turn 1. So this is a Rhinos matchup. This is very important because it is one of the most common matchups at the moment. You must be able to beat it. And here I did a mistake. I should have played, opponent gave me a chance to play Inti before combat and I didn't take it, which was a big mistake, big mistake. But yeah, so luckily they were also screwed, same as me, so they put Rhinos in a turn later. And now I am tapped with Rona. And as I said, when you're doing the Rona thing with Inti, a lot of crazy stuff can happen. So I did a couple of Rona abilities, play the Emry, and then I pass the turn. I can tap Rona on their turn or end of turn, exile something else, discard something else with Rona, exile card with Inti, and if I get to untap, I have a lot of powerful stuff on the field. Ascendancy is in hand, which means I can go infinite for the lethal. Okay, so I do another Rona ability, exile a card with Inti, find the Springleaf Drum, find the white mana, then I go for another Rona. I know they have Flame of Fener, so I was actually hoping for them to just go for the Rona kill. And then I go for the Jeskai Ascendancy. This means basically if my opponent doesn't have Force of Negation, game is immediately over. So now I'm doing the Ascendancy thing every time I cast a Bauble from the graveyard or Mox Amber, whatever. I have 2 Embers now, so I'm doing the Ember thing, getting the infinite mana in the process. I can also every time I also get the Inti ability and the mana from the Mox. This means like I have a bunch of mana and I can exile my entire deck with Inti, pumping my creatures to infinite. And that is it. That is the game. Let's check out the game 2. Combo killed right on time against Rhinos. And yeah, this wasn't keepable, one lander, only Saga in hand. Let's check out the sideboarding plan. So trimming on Agatha, trimming on Inti a bit. I think these cards are the ones I want to trim against Rhinos. Also, of course, like I trimmed Springleaf Drum, Mishra Bauble, one Mishra Bauble because I'm bringing in the Chalice of the Void. Okay, so that's it. I have Chalice, I have Explosives on the sideboard. I have 4 Spell Pierce. So there is a lot of hate for the Rhinos, which can be used in other matchups too. So again, untapping with Rona, going for the Inti. I decide to discard Unholy Heat. I exile the One Ring with Inti ability, and I find the Spirabluff Canal. I can play next turn. It's pretty good. So unfortunately, yeah, I should have tapped the Mox Amber first. This was a small mistake. I should have tapped the Ember first, then find the second Ember, sack this one. This way I would have enough mana to play both the One Ring and hold the Spell Pierce. This would be ideal. Unfortunately, I misplayed a bit, but when I did, I decided to change my game plan a bit. Just play the Emry this turn and pass the turn with Spell Pierce. I also went for discard with Inti, pumping the Inti to 3/3. so they can't block me with Mutavolt. So this way I had a Spell Pierce for their turn for the Footfalls, which was still fine, and I had Ascendancy to try to combo kill next turn. And maybe better play was, as I said, like tap Mox Amber before I resolve the Urza Saga, get the second Ember, then play the One Ring. I had exiled with the One Ring, and I would still have 1 mana open to play the Spell Pierce. This way I wouldn't have Emry on the field and Jeskai Ascendancy kill next turn, but I would be in a very good situation, but it wasn't really important. I pierced their Footfalls and opponent concedes. That's it, yeah. Like, this is very powerful board state, very difficult to deal with if opponent doesn't have enough removal. So that was it. I think they asked me in chat, do you have the kill? I said I have Ascendancy for the lethal, and they conceded something like that. So opponent concedes the game there. So that was match 2. Let's check out the match 3. I think it was Murktide. So basically played all the relevant decks. Yeah, I think all matchups in this league were very competitive. I think the only game I lost was against Amulet Titan, very close game too. Okay, so here I connect with Ragavan, see what I'll get, and then play Inti. Opponent decides to kill Ragavan, but they also I find another one with Inti, and I also have the Urza Saga to start doing construct tokens. Opponent missed a land for 1 turn. It was a big problem for them. Now I had Inti, Ragavan on the field, and I was able to make a construct. Also now I have a prismatic ending to kill this Ledger Shredder, and this also means I have a Delirium for the next turn. So even if they do anything next turn, I have Delirium for the heat and a lot of power on the field. So yeah, that is it for the opponent. They concede. Let's check out game 2. Okay, so for this matchup, I decided just to trim a bit on the Ascendancy and Inti. Trimmed Mishra Bauble, a Springreave Drum, brought in I think Soul Guide Lantern, but didn't bring in Crypt. Okay, so just trimming on some stuff for other good cards. I have a lot of cards that are good in this matchup. Teferi is great here. Saga is hard for them to deal with. I also brought in a Flame of Feiner as additional removal, but also card advantage that can be really important in the matchup like this one. I go for a Flame. Opponent has the Pierce, so they go in for 3, connect with Ragavan. Unfortunately, they get the heat. Really needed that heat. Okay, but now I was able to go for a Teferi and bounce Murktide with Teferi, play Rona. Rona is pretty good blocker for the Ragavan, so I would say pretty good turn for me. Opponent has a Shredder plus a removal, get the Delirium. This means they can kill Teferi and connect with Ragavan. But next turn I'm getting the Graveyard Hate. I can also make a construct if I want. So I got a Graveyard Hate, take their Murktides to clear the Delirium. This is much more comfortable situation for me. Now I get to play Inti. Now my Mox Amber is active too. This means I can use the Mox to kill one of their creatures and also make a construct token. When they tap out, I decide to immediately go for the heat, get them the connive ability, but I'm pretty happy to kill the Shredder. Now they're forced to attack with Channeler, and I can use the Soul Guide in combat. Okay, opponent tries to hit my construct, and in response I take their graveyard. So this way I save the construct. And I didn't get the Dragon Ray Channeler, but this guy already had 2 damage in, and yeah, kind of this was not well played by opponent. Opponent definitely failed there. Yeah, I unfortunately didn't have enough mana to make another construct here, but I'm in a very good situation. Opponent has explosives active, so I didn't want to equip Shadow Spear on a construct, no point. And yeah, no point in making another construct too, so I just go for the Rona and play my Ascendancy. This can be pretty good. Opponent has to use has to break the explosives there. 4 damage from construct is too much pressure, and they get the Delirium, but I'm kind of comfortable on 13 life here, so it's okay for me. I have Teferi plus Ascendancy. Also, every card I play I get to do the draw discard with Ascendancy, also pumping the creatures in process. Also, Rona active on the field is like really amazing. Okay, so I bait the counterspell. I saw the counterspell with the Bauble, so I bait it with Ragavan, and then I go for Teferi. No cards anymore in the hand, so no point doing the discard abilities. So I just go for the Teferi, bounce the Channeler. When I draw the land from Teferi, I decide to use the Rona ability instead of attacking here. Opponent is on 9, but yeah, I value like this draw discard more. Okay, so opponent actually finds expressive iteration from the top, but it didn't serve them really effectively. So I was able to go for the Rona ability again, play the Emry, and then discard a whole bunch of these unnecessary lands. Keep them in hand, and finally equip the Shadow Spear, passing the turn. Opponent can now kill my Teferi, but that's like totally fine. I have infinite on next turn with Emry, so opponent has to deal with Emry or they die. They find the bolt, but I still have Rona. Rona is great in a situation like this, getting me everything I need, discarding a bunch of cards. Imagine if you have Inti on the field, this is like unbeatable. I decide to go for the Mox Amber too. Mox Amber triggers this Ascendancy, which pumps my team, and now I'm able to attack for 6 damage, which is a lot, and I also can untap Rona with Minamo if needed. And yeah, next turn I have lethal on the field. Opponent has to do something. Also, finding the Preordain with Ragavan was huge, and yeah, that helped me win even sooner. Also got the Flame of Inner, and with Rona on the field, this means I can use 2 modes, getting to untap Rona here, do the draw 2, then do the draw discard again. Opponent finds explosives, and that is not enough to survive, so they concede. That is the game. Okay, let's check out the last win of this league, and then we will watch the defeat in the end. Okay, so I didn't have a red mana in that one, so I decided to mulligan. Keep a pretty decent hand. Ragavan removal and 1 ring is pretty sweet. Opponent starts with Havar Might. This is like totally fine. This means I can go exile the Might and connect with Ragavan. get the treasure token. Treasure token, of course, next turn means I can go for the ring. That is like very powerful, hard for opponent to deal with. They go for the soul guide. So they go for the soul guide. This means they're also probably like the Saga deck. And yeah, they were like Urza, doing the Urza stuff, and I connected with Ragavan again. I played my one ring and opponent, yeah, I played Urza, and Urza is very good here. I was able to play Rona immediately. Opponent didn't find the second land, and they concede. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, so the sideboarding plan here, similar to the previous one. I trimmed one Inti, trimmed 2 Ragavan, 1 Teferi, Bauble, and the Springleaf Drum, Agatha, for some Flame of Feiners. Flame of Feiners were pretty useful from the sideboard. I used them a lot. At some point I was also thinking about them in the main, but I'm pretty satisfied by them from the sideboard. Okay, so here opponent goes for the Teferi. I had some options too, but I decided to go for Werther on Saga and play the Rona again. Opponent takes Rona. Again, multiple options here. I can go Finding Needle to play on Teferi. I also played Teferi, but I trimmed one, so I only had a single Teferi in my deck, so it was totally fine. Went for the Inti and passing the turn. I have Prismatic Ending to get rid of the hole, but also opponent resolves the one ring, and this is definitely a problem. I go for attack first, play the Prismatic Ending. Jeskai Ascendancy now lets me discard a card here, so I get the Inti ability. I can't use it this turn, but now I have Rona on the field doing draw discard. Opponent, thanks to the one ring, finds a solution for all of this. I go for the Flame of Feiner, drawing me 2 cards, trying to find a solution. Right now, basically I need Emry to try to kill them. And going through a lot of cards with Jeskai Ascendancy, but wasn't able to find what I need on time. I needed like Emry last turn probably, and now opponent has Sword of the Meek combo on the field, plus they also have the Soul Guide. So this means it's pretty hard situation for them, for me, sorry. But I did find a Saga plus Emry this turn, so this gives me some chance. Opponent starts doing Sword of the Meek thing, gaining life, which is important for them because of the one ring. I did the draw discard. I wanted to fill my graveyard a bit because of the Emry, of course. End of turn, I have the explosives. I can go like kill the portable hole, get my Rona back. Now I also get to replay the Pitting Needle with Emry and lock the one ring. So I try to go for the needle, target it with Emry. So the opponent has Top-Tier Foundry and the One Ring, which are both very good Pitting Needle targets here. Yeah, but Top-Tier Foundry really killing me right now. Doing a lot of these Top-Tier tokens, which can kill me real fast. So thanks to Ascendancy, I was able to untap the Emry and target the explosives. Explosives let me kill their top tier tokens, which means I can survive through the turn. Discarding more cards with Ascendancy. And now I also got the Flame of Fener. And Jeskai Ascendancy on the field, and Emry, this means with thanks to the explosives, I get to play explosives again for 0 mana, doing another Jeskai Ascendancy trigger. Also, this triggers Inti 2, and yeah. So you can see here how you can go like literally infinite from nothing. And opponent has the spell pierce here, but it doesn't matter. I still get to do the Jeskai Ascendancy ability. I exile the card with Inti, and now I'm digging for Mox Amber and Mishra Bauble. I played Mox Amber. Mox Amber now gives me mana, doing the Ascendancy, triggering Inti, also triggering Inti with Rona 2, and now I can exile my entire deck, pump my team for a lot of damage and do the lethal immediately. Also play the One Ring, play whatever I want. So this is the infinite loop. I can do the infinite loop with double Mox, as you saw, or the Mishra Bauble. In this situation I had Mox Ambers, so this also means like infinite mana. So in process I can play like Flame of Fener to kill the last blocker, but I don't really even need that because I have Inti to give a trample. But to just shorten the process, I can simply go for the Flame of Fener, kill their last blocker, and yeah, kill them immediately. Opponent has a Surge of Salvation, but yeah, the infinite loop is on the field, so it doesn't matter, and that is the win. Okay, so let's check out the last match of this league, the only defeat. I was playing against a Primeval Titan, Amulet Titan, and I actually had opponent was playing first. I had a decent hand, but on the draw it could very well be a bit slow against Titan. But I mean, like if I get a 0 mana artifact and if I can play like Emry on turn 2, then I have potential of a turn 3 kill with Ascendancy. This is like very powerful against non-interactive decks. Obviously Grazer is a problem for me right now because it will stay in the blockers, so it will be a problem for me to win through the Grazer, because I can't really play Inti on same turn. Now opponent has the Spellunking and the Amulet, attacks with Dryad. Unfortunately, yeah, they have a Grazer in the blockers phase, so I can't do the kill, but I can force the attack. I can force the block with the Grazer, of course, kill the Grazer, and I can draw how many cards I want with Bauble. This also means I can get infinite mana with 2 Mox Ambers and play the One Ring and get the protection from anything until my next turn. Opponent can't really win through protection from the ring, so this means I will untap with the One Ring, and they could possibly kill my Emry, but I'm still untapping with the ring on the field, Jeskai Ascendancy, Mox Amber, and potentially I can just dig to Agatha Soul Cauldron. So with Agatha Soul Cauldron, any creature can be Emry and win. Yeah, okay, so now I have infinite blue mana, but that doesn't get me the win. I have a heat to kill the Grazer, but I can't produce a red mana. I must pump the Emry to 2020 before attacking, so I force the block with Grazer. Okay, so I do 20 of the abilities, and yeah, attack with Emry. Opponent has to block with Grazer, and now they basically have to kill my Emry with Dryad. Even if they do, they also have to kill the Rona. And unless I'll probably be able to find Agatha Cauldron, here it is. So it's not easy position for opponents, but they didn't have the Titan this turn anyway. So yeah, I untap now with a bunch of cards. I can just kill anything I want, and this is easy kill. This is very easy kill, and yeah. From this point, it's just a matter of me losing time to combo off. And that's it. Okay, so that was the win in game 1. And yeah, opponent again playing first. Let's see the sideboarding plan for this one. 2 Ragavans out. Soul Guide Lantern. Sorry, not Soul Guide Lantern, but Agatha Soul Cauldron out, and yeah, that's basically it. Not a lot to go against Amulet Titan. I had 2 Wear Tears and I had 2 Flame of Feiners. Could really use the Wear Tear right now to take care of Saga. Unfortunately, didn't get my sideboard cards in this one, so it was a much harder game. With 1 Wear Tear, yeah, this would be like very good situation for me. Now opponent had Amulet, and they also had a second one in hand, plus the bounce land. This means a 5 mana, which is not enough to go for the Titan immediately, but they also had the pact to go for Azusa. And then they had like 15 minutes comboing off with Titan, which are we going to skip right now, and that's it. So let's check out game 3. Yeah. Okay, so the starting hand was not great, 5 lands, so I decided to mulligan on 6. I keep Rona on turn 2 plus turn 3 Flame of Feiner. This feels like decent. This feels like decent keep. And yeah, Flame of Feiner drawing me 2, killing for certain something was really good, but opponent unfortunately has another Saga and Dismember for Rona. I find a Wear Tear. A Wear Tear was actually pretty good. I decided to kill the Saga with that had 1 counter on it, because I was planning on just going Flame of Feiner for the Amulet next turn, but in the process opponent was able to copy the Amulet with the Mycosynth Gardens and actually had the 3rd Saga, which was kind of a lot, but here it is, Ascendancy and Ragavan on the field. Opponent doesn't have anything right now, but a lot of cards in hand. This is as soon as if game goes longer here, the position for me in this game is getting worse and worse. They have a lot of lands. They have the bounce land. They have the blocker for Ragavan. They find everything they needed, but I was able to play the 2nd Ascendancy. This gets me a lot of cards to cycle through. So I can also pump my Ragavan, force them to block with Grazer, so that is good. But now again, getting the 4th Amulet in this game was pretty tough, and yeah, so they had another Grazer to produce a bunch of mana, go for the Titan with 2 Vigors. They actually had like 3 Titans in hand, which is kind of amazing. Yeah, so usually you pass the turn hoping, let's hope they don't have the Titan, but actually my opponent had 3 Titans. Sorry, it wasn't 3 Titans, it was Tolaria. Okay, but yeah, that's it. Opponent goes infinite, and yeah, so I had Werther and the Flame of Fener, but it wasn't good enough. I really needed Emry in this one. I had two Ascendancies, so I had a lot of time, 5 turns. Emry would do a great job here, but opponent was able to go to win through the hate, and yeah, that was a loss against Titan. I was thinking before starting this lead if I will include the land hate or not. I decided to go without Alpine Moons or whatever, and yeah, maybe if I included that I would get a win there, but it is what it is. I think deck is good. I was very happy with a performance, and I did a 3-time 4-1 league with it. Definitely I had a bit of luck also in this league, but I think overall I'm pretty happy with performance from this deck. It feels very strong, it feels equal to the Grinding Breach, and I think it has some advantages and some flaws over the deck, and I think in the certain meta it can be better than that deck, than the Grinding Breach version of very similar game plan. Obviously Breach is a strong card. I think Breach is better in the longer games. I think Ascendancy can be really good in the first 4 or 5 turns and get you a lot of easy kills, free wins. Also another reason why I want to try Ascendancy over the Grinding Breach combo is because you get to include the Inti much easier, and you have more slots in this build to include more combo pieces like Inti, and I think Inti is very powerful 2-drop to play at the moment, and that is why I prefer it over the Grinding Breach variations. Okay, so that is it for today. Hope you liked the video, hope you liked the gameplay. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe. Let me know in the comments your impressions about this list in comparison to the Grinding Breach, because most people are comparing it to it, and yeah, seeing the pros and cons to playing this list in comparison to this one. I think they're on pretty similar power level, but either of these decks can shine in certain metagames, and I think this metagame with a lot of non-interactive combo decks and less mid-range can be a better environment to play the Ascendancy variant. Okay, so that is it for today. Again, thank you for watching and goodbye.